Other than Bialystok, transports of Jews sent to Treblinka also came from within the heart of the Reich itself, most notably from Theresienstadt, the most prolific way station ghetto for Western European Jews destined for the extermination camps. Over the course of 1942, roughly 42,000 Jews were deported east from Theresienstadt, the vast majority perishing in the Operation Reinhardt death camps, the Mali Trostenet extermination camp, and killing sites like Baranovichi. From October the 5th until October the 25th, 1942, roughly 8,000 Jews were deported from Theresienstadt to Treblinka. Transports were also sent to the extermination camp from all over Axis-occupied Europe throughout 1943, from places in Austria, Czechoslovakia, Holland, France, Greece, Soviet Union, and Yugoslavia. Something that is particularly notable about the WestenJuden, or the Jews coming from Western Europe, was their blissful ignorance of what awaited them in their relocations east. Anticipating their likely ignorance, the SS played into this potential delusion by deliberately transporting Jews from Holland and France in passenger cars as opposed to cattle carts, sometimes even with a ticket inspector on board to maintain the illusion that the Jews were almost choosing their relocations east. The majority of the WestenJuden were convinced that they were either travelling to a labour camp or that they would be employed in farms within the Soviet Union. The reasoning for this was largely that the SS had treated the WestenJuden fairly well, or at least much better than they had the Ostjuden, referring to those from Poland and primarily the Soviet Union. The Polish Jews, who were the first non-Reich Jews to suffer at the hands of Nazi persecution, had been suffering in ghettos since the German conquest of the country in 1939, while the Soviet Jews had bore witness to the Einsatzgruppen's rampage across the region during the opening weeks and months of Operation Barbarossa. Jews from Holland and France had simply not experienced just how far Nazi policy had radicalized during the course of the war, and especially since the summer of 1941. Therefore, the notion that they might be riding to their deaths would be far more implausible for them than, say, it would for a Jew in Minsk. So confident were the SS in their victims' ignorance that they would even permit trains to be stopped at way stations, allowing passengers to, on occasion, be permitted to leave trains and roam around, purchasing food and drinks from the nearby stands. Franciszek Zebecki detailed how he witnessed a man who got frustrated that his transport had accidentally left him behind as he was purchasing food from a nearby vendor at a train station, even asking the station officials the location of the industrial plant his kin were headed to, in the hope that he would one day join them. Upon arrival in Treblinka, Jews from Western Europe would often be allowed to alight from the transports at their own leisure, sometimes even talking to the SS roaming the platform. A Czech Jew named Richard Glazar testified to how his transport from Theresienstadt was received by the Treblinka SS. I saw men with blue armbands on the platform, but without any insignia. There were loud announcements, but it was all fairly restrained. Nobody did anything to us. I followed the crowd. Men to the right, women and children to the left, we were told. One of the SS men, Kuttner, told us in a chatty sort of manner that we were going to the disinfection baths, and afterwards we would be assigned to work. Another SS man, Miet was his name, came by me and said, "Come on you, get back in your clothes. Quick, special work." That was the first time I was frightened at Treblinka. I thought, oh God, why me? Why does he pick on me? And of course, never forget that I had no idea what this whole installation was for. The delusion of the WestenJuden to Treblinka's true nature usually persisted throughout their processing, even in their final moments, as a group would approach the gas chambers. In one of the most uncomfortable accounts I've ever read, there was an instance where Ivan the Terrible, Nikolai, and some of the extermination area SS fell about laughing when a group of Dutch women approached the gas chambers, mocking their insistence to one another that they must hurry, as the water would surely be getting cold.